I am yabbing, insulting, cursing out all una ancestors as Wizkid fans.
Wizkid, Seun, and Fela, the arguments that shook Nigerian music. There are celebrity feuds. And then there are moments that expose a nation's unresolved conversation. When Wizkid and Seun Kuti collided online, this was not just two musicians exchanging words. It became a mirror reflecting how Nigerians define greatness, legacy, respect, and power. Some saw arrogance, some saw provocation, others saw an overdue cultural reckoning. Today on Update People TV, we are not picking sides. We are breaking it all down calmly, clearly, and completely. This is what really happened between Wizkid and Seun Kuti, why it escalated so fast, why Nigerians are divided, and why the name Fela Anikulapo Kuti still carries explosive weight decades after his death. This did not begin with Wizkid. It began with fans. For years, a section of Wizkid's fan base has compared him to Fela Kuti, calling Wizkid the modern-day Fela or bigger than Fela because of global reach, awards, and streaming numbers. To many fans, this was harmless hype. To Seun Kuti, it was something else entirely. Seun Kuti publicly criticized these comparisons, arguing that Fela was not just a musician, but a political force, cultural rebel, and ideological threat to power. His point was simple. Fela's legacy cannot be reduced to charts, Grammys, or global tours.
New Fela of where? Can you ever? Because people have no respect. And your no respect, see, I like when people don't have respect as a form of defiance. If your lack of respect came from a place of defiance, I would respect it. But your lack of respect comes from a place of ignorance, complete ignorance.
At first, Seun's comments were not directly aimed at Wizkid himself, but at the culture of comparison. However, the internet does what it does best. Screenshots circulated, clips were reposted, narratives were compressed into outrage. And then, Wizkid responded. Wizkid is famously private. He rarely explains himself, and he almost never engages critics directly. So when he responded, people paid attention. Through Instagram stories and reposted videos, Wizkid pushed back aggressively, mocking Seun Kuti, and at one point suggesting that he was bigger than Fela. That single phrase changed everything. Because in Nigeria, Fela is not just an artist, he is a symbol. For many Nigerians, that statement crossed an invisible cultural line. Suddenly, this was no longer Wizkid versus Seun Kuti. It became modern success versus historical sacrifice, commercial dominance versus ideological resistance, pop stardom versus cultural immortality, and Nigeria split down the middle. Interestingly, Seun Kuti did not match Wizkid's tone. Instead of escalating insults, he responded with restraint, even sarcasm, telling Wizkid to just be yourself and insisting he had no personal hatred for him. Seun emphasized that his issue was not Wizkid's success. His issue was the misuse of Fela's name. And his issue was how fan culture distorts history.
You are a ghost fan base. That's why you have not been to stadium in a while. If you are not a ghost fan base, you will be in stadium. 30 BG are in stadium. outsiders are in stadium. Wizkid FC, no stadium. That's why. A ghost fan base. Ghost fan base. The Ghost FC. That's it. Ghost FC. Let me change. Ghost FC. So you are a bad person. I'm a bad person. Ghost FC. We cannot fill a stadium with ghosts. How do we fill stadium with ghosts? Come on, bro. You cannot be ghosts. You have to be real. You have to be real.
In other words, Seun framed this as a principled argument, not a personal beef. But by this point, the internet had already chosen sides. This clash exploded because it touched something deeper than music. Nigeria has an unresolved tension between legacy versus relevance, sacrifice versus reward, history versus now. Fela represents resistance without compromise. Wizkid represents success within the global system. Neither is wrong, but they are not the same thing. Many young Nigerians relate more to Wizkid. He escaped poverty. He conquered global stages. He represents aspiration without activism, fatigue. Older Nigerians and cultural historians align more with Fela. He paid with imprisonment. He paid with beatings. He paid with his mother's life. So when Wizkid appeared to diminish that legacy even casually, it felt personal to many. Some artists and commentators say Seun Kuti is over-policing comparisons and should let fans express admiration freely. Others argue Wizkid's response showed disrespect and emotional immaturity regardless of intent. Media analysts point out something crucial. This feud exposes how fan bases now weaponize history to elevate modern stars. Social media has flattened time. Everything becomes a ranking. Everything becomes a competition. And culture suffers for it. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Wizkid does not need Fela's name. And Fela's legacy does not need defending. The conflict exists because Nigeria struggles to honor the past without suffocating the present. We want new heroes, but we don't want to forget the cost of the old ones. That tension is unresolved. And until it is, these clashes will keep happening. As of now, there has been no sit-down interview, no apology, no reconciliation, just silence and lingering division. Wizkid has moved on. Seun Kuti has moved on. But the conversation has not. This was never about ego alone. It was about who defines greatness, who owns legacy, and who gets to speak for history. Wizkid represents where Nigeria is going. Fela represents where Nigeria has been. Seun Kuti stands in between, guarding a memory he believes is being diluted. And maybe the real lesson is this: we don't need to choose one to erase the other. If you watch this far, you understand that this was bigger than a feud. This was Nigeria talking to itself. What do you think? Was Wizkid misunderstood, or did he cross a line? Is Seun Kuti protecting history or resisting evolution? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk respectfully. Don't forget to subscribe to Update People TV for clear, balanced breakdowns of the stories shaping Africa today.
So first off, right, I think Wizkid not responding, I knew I was going to get to this point because Seun Kuti was really saying some things that it was really hitting hard, right? I mean, insinuated that Wizkid is kind of aware that his FCs are a machinery for oppressing people on social media, saying stuff like, oh, okay, I'm attacking you guys, and if he really cared about you people would have said something. Obviously, so 6 days of ranting, so definitely Wizkid is going to say something. And apparently, if you paid attention to Wizkid's tweets or X post, right, on that platform, he kept saying biggest bird. Biggest bird. We all know Seun Kuti to be the first person to claim the Big Bird title, Big Bird, right? And that was where I kind of picked up this thing. It's been going on for a while now, where FCs will come and be like, oh, there are superlatives to this thing. Big, there's biggest. I see a lot of comments, right? And I knew it was going to get to this point. So when the FC started this whole Fela comparison, man, I knew it was going to end with Wizkid saying,